everyone. My name is Libini and welcome to Hacks for Holistic Living. Before we move on to introducing our guest for the day, I wanted to say a little bit about why we started this series. Episode after episode, we've been focusing on how people can go about achieving holistic abundance in their life, be it professional, personal, spiritual, mental, financial, whatever it may be. In today's episode, our focus is going to be on business, and let's look at how businesses can take on a holistic approach. Let me introduce our guest for the day. Our first guest for the day is Mr. Raghu. K. Raghu is a senior partner at K. Raghu and Co. and has about 30 years of experience as a chartered accountant. Having gained deep insights into the profession as a fellow member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, he was elected as the Vice President of ICAI for 2013-14 and its President for the year 2014-15. He has served as an independent director on the board of Indian Overseas Bank and was associated in the turnaround of the bank, and he was appointed by the Ministry of Finance immediately after he completed his presidentship of ICAI. Acknowledged for his international outlook and drive to promote brand Indian CA globally, he is presently in the League of World Accountancy Leaders, serving the profession globally as a member of the Board of International Federation of Accountants. Widely commended for spearheading a technology-driven year for the ICAI in 2014-15, Raghu is credited for his path-breaking and proactive initiatives such as ICAI TV, webcasting, and e-learning, among others. A very warm welcome to you, Mr. Raghu.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Libini. Nice to meet you.
Our second guest for the day is Guru Prasad Makam. Guru is the founder of Guru and Jana, a chartered accountancy firm that's on its way to becoming one of the top 20 CA firms in India. Guru is a member of the Auditing Standards Board and an independent director in more than 10 companies. He's also the author of many books, including God in the Boardroom, Banter Beyond the Buck, and 8 technical guides issued by the ICAI. Guru is also an alumni of Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore. One of the reasons we have Guru here today is also because he's an ardent believer of breakthroughs. In fact, it's these breakthroughs that have shaped his life. We'll hear more about his breakthroughs a little later. For now, a warm welcome, Mr. Guru. Our third guest for the day is Megha Bajaj. Megha Bajaj is a best-selling author of several books, including Thank You Cancer and I Inspire. Her recent book is called The Breakthrough, and it was a bestseller in 1 month of its launch. She has written more than 1,000 articles for well-known magazines and newspapers. Megha also runs online writing workshops for aspiring authors. Megha is a well-loved speaker and has been invited to premier institutes to share her insights. She was a younger speaker at the World Conference of Spirituality and Humanity for 2 consecutive years and has recently addressed FICCI Flow, the women's wing of FICCI. Megha is also writing film scripts for prominent production houses and best knows herself as an ardent seeker. Welcome, Megha.
Pleasure to be here, Libini.
Let's have our first question to Mr. Raghu. Just wanted to find out from you, since our focus for today is businesses and businessmen, what is it one thing according to you that businesses most need in today's time?
I feel one of the most important requirements of any business today is that they need to innovate. If they don't innovate, according to me, they'll perish. When you talk about innovation, we are in the midst of a digital revolution. The way we order food online, the way we buy our apparel online, everything has become digital. The way you transact on the internet, you do your banking, services, even income tax returns, you can file it online. Because I'm a practicing chartered accountant, I'm telling you, you can consult your doctors online. So what is happening? You see a shift that is taking place. And in this new normal, what is really happening is that businesses that have innovated are able to survive. And innovation is something that one has to keep in mind always as to how he can offer his services or products to his customers in a different fashion, so that the user satisfaction is increased. Now, today, what is happening? Yesterday, I happened to have a tender coconut. Then I had a girl standing next to me, and she just pulled out her mobile phone and flashed it on the Paytm that was fixed on the tender coconut the cart. So what really happening is that today we find things have become very user friendly. You can hail for an Uber. Autos are very popular in Bangalore. That's why I'm saying autos. So literally everything is happening digital. How is it possible? There's a sort of you can say a big change that is taking place. And in this change, what I see is that businesses that have innovated have succeeded. And because of this disruption that has taken place today, there's disruption almost everywhere. Every industry has got a disruption. Telecom, we have seen the disruption, how Jio was able to offer, packages at throwaway prices. We have seen disruptions happening in almost every sector. Banking sector went through a disruption. IT sector went through a disruption. So we should innovate to survive this disruption. It's just not the COVID times. Just beyond the COVID times, I feel if you innovate, you can be successful and you can, be safe.
I totally agree with you. I think innovation is one of the key for businesses today. I know the ones who've not actually managed to do that eventually kind of fade out, that's the reality. Yeah. Coming back to you, Mr. Guru, you are another person who heads a business yourself, right? So what, for you, like for the growth of your business, what has been one of the biggest breakthroughs?
Hey, thanks, Libini. Thanks, Megha. It's such a pleasure that I'm sharing the dais with Raghu. I still remember my first public speaking. I had never spoken in public before. And I was not a great technical sort of a guy. And Raghu gave me an opportunity way back in 2000 or 1999 to speak in a small branch in Tirupur. And it was a 2-hour speech, and I was flabbergasted. How do I stop talking? How can I talk for 2 hours? So it's a very nostalgic moment for me to share this. In the meanwhile, I forgot the question. What did you ask?
The question is actually in terms of your business, right? Like what has been the biggest breakthrough in terms of the success of your business?
See, most of us, when we started our profession, we never wanted to become a global big leader. I want to be a unicorn. Nothing of great nature. We used to just love going to office. We used to have such a joy of being in the office. So even today, somebody I was speaking last week, and he told, this week I have a 100-hour week. I just smiled to myself. I've been having that for 30 years. What does your 100-hour week mean to me? I don't understand, because when your hobby and your profession is the same, that should be the biggest breakthrough. The breakthrough will have to be, am I playing in my office? The day I get the play in the office, there is no pressure at all. You're actually looking forward to jump and reach the office. Hey, let me do something today. I think the biggest breakthrough of my life has been where I changed my focus, telling that I'm not just going for an office. It's a game. Let me cherish it. Let me have fun. So even today, when I go to office, 8:30 I reach, and somebody comes and tells, hey, it's already 1. You have to get up for lunch. Time is over. I don't know how time flies. And today morning we had a partners meeting at 9:30, and it's going on and going on. We're chatting. Then Libini message, and all of a sudden I came back. Okay, this call is there. So the breakthrough I would feel is if you're playing in a football field, you get paid for your play, and you get paid handsomely well, and you're not even getting strain out of it. You're just chilling out.
I think you're the best example of that. We can see that with your business, the way it has flourished here. Coming back to you, Megha, what do you think is the need of the hour for businesses?
I can speak about myself as an author. Earlier it was enough, maybe at some point it was enough to write a good book and say, oh yeah, I've got a good product. It's looking good. It reads well. It's enough. But for the first time, I realize now with changing times that it's no longer good enough to be a single role wonder. Like as good as I am at authoring, I have to become a speaker. I have to develop my skill, learn to speak about my book. I have to be my own PR agency and ensure that, I'm able to take the book everywhere. I have to become my own salesperson. I have to do so many roles, in that one. And it's no longer enough to say, oh, I'm an author. It's a good book and it's great. So I think I would extend that to all businesses that no matter what your vertical is or what you are really great at, it's like when I was listening about Mr. Raghu or about Guru, both of them are obviously chartered accountants as their core profession, but they're doing so many more things, and that so many more things is what adds to their core proficiency. So I would just advise all the businesses that don't rely only on what you're good at, but You have to develop that horizontal exposure to become good at a lot of things.
Totally. I completely agree with you on that, Megha. And coming back to you, Mr. Guru, sorry, Mr. Raghu, you head a business yourself, and also you've had a lot of professional bodies. You've been at the helm of a lot of professional bodies. So, what do you think are some of the important values that business leaders should possess?
Livini, I think what is very essential for any business leader is to have a clear vision. He should begin his business journey in his business with a clear vision statement, what exactly he wants to achieve, what are his short-term,
Okay.
what are his long-term goals, how he plans to
Mhm.
achieve it, what are the challenges he would face. So once he develops his vision, that is the beginning of the journey. And I think every businessman, whether he's a businessman or a professional, should drop his vision statement. And this vision statement should be simple, achievable, and something that which is a joy. Like how Guru said, you should enjoy, working on your vision. That is what is very important. You should not feel that, hey, it's very tough. So you should enjoy working on making your vision a reality. Yes, Guru.
Just to pitch in, I would like to share this. It's such a moment to
Sure.
share. Raghu passed his chartered accountancy. He was one of the first guys to pass. And there used to be an institute of chartered accountants. And this boy was just a teenager. A teenager working in a chartered accountant's office with no big exposure. We were not exposed to the multinational firms of accounting. Those days when we used to go and have coffee and tea, used to tell, I want to be the president of the CA Institute one day. And it's a very, very
Okay.
big post for us. It's not a small thing. A head of an institution which is controlling the financial happenings of a 1.3 billion people country.
True. Yeah.
And the way he went on meticulously achieving it over a period of 20 years, he saw failures. But when he was just a fresher, he told, I want to be the president of CA Institute. And we could not even imagine, we had not even seen the Delhi CA Institute. And it is a huge legacy there, and it's a huge number of quotes and politics and a lot of professional achievements, judgments. But the way he went on, he made it a single pursuit of his life. Hey, let me become the president of the CA Institute. And he got it. He got it one day.
So to just thank you,
Exactly.
Guru, for all your good words about me. So what is important is, number one is a vision. Number two is, the leader should be ethical. You should have good ethical values built in you. It could be simple things like being honest. You should have integrity. Your staff should look upon you. You should be polite. You should be calm. You need to have some very good qualities in you to be successful in business. Just that you're intelligent, you're smart, I think that doesn't work. What is important is that you should possess the right ethical values, at the same time good personality skills. Both are very, very important. I believe if you see successful businessmen around you, all of them possess these ethical qualities and interpersonal skills. Number three, you need to have the passion to work hard. Guru has built his firm. Now he's brought it to this stage. He had the passion to work hard to build it to this stage. It is not very easy to set up a team of 150, 200 people. So you need to have the drive to work hard, get to office, work for the day, pandemic or no pandemic, you keep working. That's number three. Because I just have 6 points. The fourth one, which I thought I should say, one of the good qualities a good leader should have, he should be simple and humble. When you say simple and humble, okay, fine. You're the top man. Let us say I had the opportunity of meeting Mr. Narayan Murthy at his campus in Infosys. I still remember when I went to his cabin, he got a very simple cabin. He said, Mr. Raghu, let's go and have lunch together. We walked out of his cabin and then we went to one of the cafeterias there. We stood in the queue to pick up our thali. In Bangalore, we have the South Indian thalis. You get this plates, you carry your plate and then fill up whatever you want. Mr. Narayan Murthy was standing there behind him. I was standing behind him. So he set an example to all his employees that he's a very simple person, humble person. That's what is very important. And the fifth one, which I feel, is that you need to be committed to your organization. The reason why you need to be committed, you need to demonstrate your commitment to each and every individual in an organization, that you're ethical, you're punctual, you're hardworking. Until this you lead from the front, it would be difficult for people down the line to emulate you. So what is very important is that you should have a high commitment to the organization, and you should display all your skills to the entire team working with you. Lastly, you should be ready to own your mistakes. See, everyone commits mistakes. Let's be clear about it. When you have committed a mistake, yes, you should jolly well accept the mistake. Many people hesitate to accept mistakes, and I believe you should have the ability or the thing to, willingness to accept mistakes, and only then people respect you more. And you can see a lot of role models around you. It could be your aunt, it could be your uncle, it could be a brother, it could be Mega, it could be Guru Prasad. It's for you to decide and whom to emulate. And once you decide whom to emulate, you should see why Mega Bajaj has been a successful author. I've read some of her books. I've seen what she's written about Guru, the way she has went about sketching Guru's career. It's so nice the way she has presented. It creates a lot of interest for you to read that article for about 40 pages. You like to go to the next chapter, and you are keen to know what she wants to write. So that is a talent that is built in her. So what is very important, friends, is that if you have to be successful, you need to have all these qualities. And right from the junior staff to the board, the top management should respect you for your integrity, for your honesty, for your simplicity, for your humbleness, and for your clarity of vision. Only then I can say you can be successful. And these are some of the qualities that each one of us should possess in life.
Totally. Yeah. So well put. Hard work, vision, commitment. Absolutely. So coming to
what I really loved hearing was that how, as a young boy, what Guru shared is that he already visualized himself out there, so then
very true.
See how everything was just a step in the right direction.
What about you, Mr. Guru? Some of the lessons that you have learned as an entrepreneur.
We are in a profession where we are involved in a lot of governmental departments. We work with government, we work with tax laws, we work with corporate laws, foreign exchange laws, and everything. Whenever there is a law, the day we understood that it is legal, I'll do it, is a smaller pedestal to compare that it may be legal, but it is not moral. So the day we get that right, I don't think there is a stoppage for any organization. I can find out 100 ways to get out of certain things, telling that, okay, I can do this clause will help me, that clause will help me. But finally, I will have to realize that I'm cheating myself. So today also, I studied my taxes in 1991 or the corporate law in 1991. But as long as the fundamentals are clear and my principal is telling, okay, it may be legal, but is it moral? The moment I get that right, I don't think there is any stoppage for doing work in our profession. It's a very grey profession because for one person it is right, for the other person it is wrong. For one person, he feels it is right and he is also right. Nobody is telling he is wrong. But the fact remains that which branch would you like to be? Would you like to be a branch where the other professionals would look up to you and tell he's a good guy? Or would you like to be in a branch telling that, hey guys, it is legal, I can do it. And today the world is looking at India. I was telling in one of the seminars I heard, every day we are getting a single proposal to submit. And each proposal is better than the other. So the easiest business development tactic I could tell is, let us go on the laws of moral, and law will automatically follow you. You don't need to be a master of the law. So that could be the easiest business solution I could tell.
Okay, coming to you, Mega. Your book, in fact, The Breakthrough, which was released recently, right? There are so many trailblazers who featured in the book who are entrepreneurs themselves. So how does the book actually address businesses?
I think, Libani, business is what you do. And it's not very different from who you are. So the entire book is about the journey of these 11 people and how what they were as people kept changing. So in turn, when you've changed, like today when I change as a person, I change as an author because, the maturity I grow in will reflect in my words. So, that is what I felt, that the book is actually a reflection of their personal journey and how that just kept on impacting business. I mean, in fact, if I have to take Guru as an example. So he was a boy who, grew up as a king of notoriety. Anything is okay for him. If he wants something, he wants something either way he has to have it. So how from all of that, he's become into what he is, where he's only talking about right over easy. He's talking about morality and ethics. It's a journey of a person, and therefore his business and everything. Earlier he ran a business where he used to wait that what loophole can I find, jump into it and do whatever it takes. Today, like I asked him when I visited him in his beautiful office, he's like, even 1 rupee in our firm will not go unaccounted for. And when you see that journey, as if you're reading it as a business person, if you're reading it as an aspiring entrepreneur, it makes you realize how certain incidents, certain people coming into our lives, certain insights, spirituality also plays a role in molding us and therefore impacts our business. And I think one very key thing I would like to say here is that we often think that by doing some things under the table, we're going to end up gaining more. So, there's a beautiful incident in Guru's life itself where he gives away some cash that someone has given him, because he feels it's morally wrong for him to take it. And in turn, he's given 3 times of it. So that tipping point or that realization for each person, like even Mr. Raghu focused on honesty being such an important thing. I think when you imbibe those certain things, your business naturally impacts in all ends. So the stories are about 11 seekers, people who grew from A to B, and in turn, everything about their life, their business, their relationships, themselves, everything got impacted and changed. So, yeah.
Okay. I think after values, let's talk a little bit about inspiration. So, Mr. Raghu, can you tell us about any leaders who've actually inspired you, which, upcoming businesses also can emulate?
Yeah, Libini, having traveled around the world, having traveled, within the country also, I've come across a lot of successful business leaders, interacted with them, spent time with them, try to understand them, how they have been successful. Having headed a professional body, you get an opportunity to meet them. They are at easy reach for you. So that was an advantage I had. I remember when I was a president, I had the opportunity of meeting three successful business leaders. I could say I was very lucky. I just thought very quickly I'll share my experiences with them. First was Kumaramangalam Birla. As you know, Kumaramangalam Birla is the chairman of the Aditya Birla Group, a very successful business group in Bombay, and Megha coming from Bombay knows how the Birla Group is from Bombay. They have really done an excellent job in contributing to the growth and development of this nation. Then Mr. Kumaramangalam Birla is a chartered accountant by profession. That's how I as a president, we were able to meet him personally at his residence in Mumbai. And then he was an MBA from the London Business School. I had the opportunity of meeting him. And when I met him, we were discussing on many issues concerning the profession. I was asking him, what do you think the institute should do for the benefit of the members, how we can contribute to the business? One quality which I thought I should share with you was that Mr. Birla was extremely simple in his outlook. He was, even though I was meeting him for the first time, I found him to be extremely, as if he knows me from a long time, simple, humble, what quality I was talking earlier. I could see that in abundance in Mr. Kumaramangalam Birla. We went about chatting a lot of things. We had a cup of coffee. Then he said, he sat on a swing and started, speaking to me. Then he said, why don't you join me on the swing? So the mere fact he invited me to join him on the swing, such a big personality, gives you a nice feeling. So that is some of the quality that he wants you also to join him. So this is something which one person which I can say that one should emulate. Second person who I met is Devi Prasad Shetty, is a leading cardiac surgeon in Bangalore. All of you have heard of Narayan Hrudyalaya. It's got a super specialty hospital. They cater to all categories of patients. They do a lot of cardiac surgeries for poor patients. I had the opportunity of traveling with him when I was on a flight to Delhi, and having a cardiac surgeon next to him, I took the opportunity of asking him what is the best way of keeping yourself fit. He said, Mr. Raghu, to keep yourself fit, you just need to do something that is sustainable in the long run. See, generally, all of us have New Year resolution. Let me do yoga. Let me cut down on fried food. And then, you try to sort of let me cut down on a few kgs. That's huge, usual, normal. But Mr. Shetty told me only one thing, Mr. Raghu, if at all you want to be healthy in life, you need to be conscious about what you're eating. Good food, exercises, walking, yoga, combination of everything is what is important. And what I found the quality in him when I was sitting with him and chatting with him and on the flight was that is the way he was listening to me keenly, the way he was trying to understand my concerns on health, the way he was trying to explain to me in a very casual manner. And it was fun. And when the lady came, we were sitting in the business class, asked for our meal preference, we gave our meal preference. Then he said, Mr. Raghu, you should enjoy your meal. There's nothing that you need to compromise. Enjoy your meal, then do what all I have told you. You will have a good, happy life. Just don't think if you don't eat sweets or you don't eat things, you will have a healthy heart. You need to enjoy everything at the same time practice. See, so what I mean to say, he was willing to spare that time with me on a flight and share some of his thoughts, what he had about good health, which I remember that even now. Third person which I remember very well is Mr. Mahendra Singh Dhoni, captain of the Indian cricket team. I had the opportunity of traveling with him again on a flight. Just when I just put my briefcase, I just sat and I saw Dhoni sitting next to me. That was something exciting for me. And then I told him, I'm Raghu, I'm the president of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. I'm very glad and happy that I'm sitting next to, he was a captain of the team that year, 2014. I said, I'm extremely fortunate. He said, fine, Mr. Raghu. Then I didn't trouble him. I just introduced myself and then I settled down. I thought it's not right for me to trouble him. Then during the course of the flight, when we had a meal and all that, I again started speaking to him because it's absolutely essential. You're meeting someone new. You should not try to do everything in the first 10 minutes. You should settle down and try to, and during lunch, when we're having lunch and eating together, I just start speaking to him. I said, sir, I'm extremely happy. I've read your success story from where you become the captain of the Indian cricket team. He said, Mr. Raghu, I know your profession is one of the best professions in the country. And the mere fact you are the president of the Institute of, even I am lucky to sit next to you is what he said. When I told him, I am lucky to sit next to you, he said, I am lucky to sit next to you. So what I mean to say, friends, is that Dhoni is a very big player. He has achieved more success for the country, got millions of fans around the country. But he's so simple, so humble. And then I said, sir, can I take a selfie with you after the lunch was over? He said, why not? And he kept on posing with me with his phone. And then he also said, I also take a selfie with you, and he took a selfie with me. So these are some of the incidents what goes to prove that Dhoni has been successful in cricket. Okay, Devi Prasad Shetty has been successful as a surgeon. Then we have Kumaramangalam Birla being successful as a businessman. Everyone have been simple, courteous, down to earth, humble. I think these 3-4 qualities are what makes you a very successful guy. In addition to, of course, you need to have academic excellence. You need to know your profession well. All that is very important. But these 3-4 qualities, if you have in you, I think that will help you. That's what I feel. If, for example, if I meet Megha for the first time, what I see in Megha is how she spoke to me, whether she's, she spoke to me nicely. I look at these qualities in her, whether when I'm having a cup of coffee with her. If she's got all these qualities, I'm able to relate to her better and I'll try to appreciate her. So I personally feel for any person to be successful, if you want to emulate other business leaders, these 3-4 examples are there. There are many more examples. I've met Mukesh Ambani. So many people I've met. I met Narendra Modi. Narendra Modi, when he was the chief minister of, Gujarat. He was the prime minister of the country. I've met him. I met Mr. Manmohan Singh, who was a prime minister. I went to his house in number 10 Racecourse Road. And 3 levels of security you meet him. I met the president, Mr. Pranab Mukherjee, at his in his Rashtrapati Bhavan. All these have been golden memories in my life. At the same time, internationally also, I've been able to get a lot of exposure, meeting a lot of international leaders. One thing which I would like to end because we're running out of time. When I was a board member on the International Federation of Accountants, our meetings used to start at 9 a.m. sharp in New York. Every quarter I used to go to New York. And what I liked in the board meeting, we had about 12 members in the board. 9 o'clock, the meetings are 8:45. Everyone is ready, open their laptop with a cup of coffee and they're sitting there. Whether it's raining heavily, whether it's snowing, they just are very casual. They get out of the hotel, they take their umbrella, put on overcoat, walk in the snow, walk in the rain, get to the meeting, put their overcoat in the entrance and then get settled at 8:45. The commitment to time was very high. 12 o'clock was tea break, 2 o'clock was lunch break. They used to follow meticulously. So these are some of the experiences in my life, which I've not experienced that in India. In India, you know what happens when you say a meeting starts at 9, chalo yaar, it's raining, let's start at
Yeah,
9.
the chalta hai attitude is there, Yeah,
That
when it's
doesn't work
raining, it's like,
internationally. So these are some of
yeah.
the experiences which I feel are required for you to be successful. See, Guru has been working from home from the last 6 months. Irrespective of the pandemic, he's been sitting tight and working. So that sort of a commitment is required. And what I see a great sense of commitment, when I went for these board meetings, the commitment to prepare for the meeting, make their notes, come to the meeting on time and discuss effectively is what these are the qualities which we need to imbibe. Here we find I've attended many board meetings in India. I was on the board of Indian Overseas. Many board. We find the directors are not prepared. They come and prepare during the meeting.
Mm.
They just want to ask a few questions just for the sake of asking that they're participating. It doesn't happen like that internationally. So that is something which these are all learnings for me in my life.
I'm sure you've met some incredible people through your journey.
Yeah,
What an inspiration.
as I told you, I was the president of the institute. Because of the president of the
Obviously,
institute, we were able to connect all of them quickly.
the privilege to,
And
yeah.
or else it would be difficult for me to meet them at their home, or I think Megha would agree with me, meeting Mukesh Ambani at his Maker Chambers, or meeting Kumaramangalam Birla at his home, or meeting Narendra Modi at his office, or Manmohan Singh at his residence. All this is next to impossible. It is just that God has given you an opportunity. You utilize this opportunity to the benefit of the society, to the profession, and everyone.
But it's great that you managed to pick up those things from them and make that an inspiration for you. So coming to you, Mr. Guru, since we've been talking about the book as such, the breakthrough, for instance, the breakthrough actually captures the lives of so many trailblazers, including you, who've been an inspiration to so many people. So how do you think a book like this can actually be used as a tool to teach certain business lessons to entrepreneurs or businesses?
It was an amazing journey, Livini, especially the selfless nature of this sweetheart Megha has been one of the biggest inspirations for me when I have been in this journey. I have not expected an young girl like her to do this at this level. But as a businessman, how could people learn is, if you see all the stories, one underlying principle there is nothing called a good business, bad business. There is only somebody called a good businessman and a bad businessman. So there are thousands of chartered accountants. Why only few are successful? There are thousands of departmental stores. Only the Ratnadeep is doing well. There are thousands of Purvika mobile stores. Only a Purvika is successful. If you read the stories of somebody like Nitin, it is something. If you read all the 11 stories, one simplest underlying fact is he's also just ordinary. But how did he become this? Now, Nitin, somebody was staying in a chawl of 8 feet by 8 feet, being one of the most respected builder. And what Megha has done in that is, she has shown the steps. It has almost been step 1, step 2, step 3, step 5. She has shown the steps. So it could be a fantastic learning experience for anybody who does it. In a way, when I saw my book, when I saw what she has written about me, I said, oh, so all this I have done, is it? Because I forgot it's 30 years ago. So this is how it happened. Now imagine when a reader does it. To share it, I share a fantastic relationship with my son. I've not seen such a bonding with many people. It's beautiful. But what the book has done to somebody like that, he sees me differently. Oh, Papa, you went through all this. He sees me differently. So as a part of the education system or as a part of business building, I'll tell you, if at all we are successful to some extent, or if we have reached a branch from a zero or a negative, books has been my journey of life. And I've read, if I can sit in the other library, this other room, there's a huge library of books. But must be telling that I've got good experience of reading some fantastic books, possibly out of the world books. Not that I'm featured in this book. I'm just plain lucky. I'm featured in this book. Absolutely, there may be thousands of people like me. But the way this book has been picturized, the way it has been, I'm seeing a movie. It's not a book. I'm actually seeing a movie. And there was one movie which is there in 1 hour, 20 minutes. There are 6 separate stories. It is exactly like that. Just a period of 2 hours, I can complete one movie, and each story is a remarkable journey of all of them did not have even a single penny in their hands. They only held the faith of Mahatreya in all of them, and all of them walked the path with honesty. And they don't. You can read the principles what Raghu read out. Out of honesty, everybody have done hard work. Everybody started with minus, without a single plate meal to eat. People working in restaurants, people working in photocopy shops, people working in the roadside juice shops, people working as a grocer, people working with crazy. And if you take somebody like NSN Chitra, her life story is unbelievable. From movie dumb to school dumb, which is almost like a kingdom.
I know.
Unbelievable story. So I wish people could take this book and read as to what it can do for them.
No, I should compliment Megha because I just completed my 55th birthday recently. So Guru was kind enough to send this breakthrough book to my office. He sent his son. He asked his son to give this book to me as my birthday, sort of a memoir. And then I went home, and the next day was a Sunday. And then I was sitting at home, and now pandemic, all of us look at ways of spending time. So I thought, why don't I know Guru almost for last 3 decades, 30 years. We almost read together. I know him. I've tracked the whole of his journey. But nevertheless, I was keen to read because Guru had sent it, and I said I was also free. I said, fine, let me go and then start reading it. Here, I would like to compliment both Megha and Guru for 2 reasons. One, Megha has very nicely etched out the Guru's story in the first half of the write-up. She has talked about the challenges, what Guru went through, the kind of, the connect what he had with his peers in his college, in his school, and how he went about achieving success. And then he talked about his parents, his wife, and everything. And then the later part of the story, he talks about how, Megha talks about how Guru became a successful person with his innovation, with his, strategy, with his clarity of vision. She has very nicely brought about the entire story of Guru in this book. And since I know Guru for the last many years, it was interesting for me. And let me admit here on this meeting that many of the things which Guru had mentioned in the book, I was not aware. For example, he tried to take Lux soap and try to make a thing of the keys. All that he had not even shared with me. You got my point. So all this is something which was new to me. Then he boss sponsored his shoes and belt. I never known all this. But all this makes interesting reading. And then he talks about how he went about spotting his wife. What are the challenges he had at home? All this is interesting, and Megha should get the credit for trying to present it in an interesting. Ultimately, when you are a viewer of watching a TV serial or watching a movie or reading a book, what is important? You need to create that interest, and she is able to create that interest in the whole story of Guru Prasad. I should compliment Megha for that. I have not read the other stories of other people, frankly. Yes, I have a plan to read it later, but right now I do not. I have not yet read. I've read Guru since he's my close friend. I read it. It's come out very well. And I should compliment Guru for the success he has achieved in life. All of us have seen it. And we wish him good luck. And I'm sure he'll do more for the community.
Thank you, my friend.
Yeah, and I think it's also time that we start using tools like these, for our students too. These are interesting tools that can actually inspire them. You don't have to go strictly by the textbooks that have been prescribed as part of the syllabus. Coming to you, Megha, since the whole discussion, the focus of this discussion is also about leading a holistic life, right? So I wanted to know, what are your thoughts on how can actually business leaders go about achieving or striking that balance between, their personal life, professional or spiritual life?
Yeah. So there was this one beautiful time that I got some time to be with my Guru, and I asked him that, so what is the biggest problem that the world is facing? And I often thought that it's about money or it's about things, and he instantly, without batting an eyelid, he said, it's relationships. And he's like, you will be surprised as to the number of top-notch people, people who are literally, we see them as achievers of what level. But when they go home, they're in depression, or they don't know how to relate to that young son. They don't know how to relate to that young daughter, and they literally are on depression pills. So he's like it. This is, I think, also one of the reasons that Breakthrough came into being, because I didn't want to only write about people who are successful. To me, that's just one aspect of you. So success, in terms of money or the title or the name is one aspect. How are you as a father? Like when you go to see Guru, and you, like, he spoke about Jeevan and him, but I actually think I'll cry if I say too much, but just like you should watch both of them sitting on their desks together and just typing, and they'll both, you can just feel the solidness of the love between them. When you look at a Nitin Nyati, who's such a big shot, I mean, he really, really looked up to person. And his daughter-in-law was telling me, she's like, I just go and I'll have a conversation with him, and he tells me all his secrets, and we have such a beautiful rapport. It made him so real for me. And same with all the other trailblazers, be it a Sushil, be it a Sandeep, everywhere I saw that they were not just, it's not about success. It was about, they all focus on all the aspects, which to me are very important, which is their health, their wealth, of course, their bliss, that, are you a happy person? Are you able to charge people? Like how so sweetly Mr. Raghu said that, he's swinging on, Mr. Kumara Mangalam is swinging. I could visualize it. He's swinging and Mr. Raghu is sitting next to him. Now, they would have spoken about so many things, aspects of business. But what Mr. Raghu has carried back as a golden memory is not any of those talks, but that swinging incident. So, I felt that all these 11, and I like to call them as my tigers and tigresses. So, literally all of them have such a holistic life. They are, it's all about healthy, it's about wealthy, it's about bliss, it's about love, having the most beautiful relationships, and the spiritual alignment. Each of these 11 invest time in their spiritual growth, because where they've arrived, it's easy to go either ways. It's easy to become very complacent and say, I've achieved what I've achieved. A Nitin Nyati at 57 years old, having a multi-crore empire, doesn't need to work for one more day in his life, but literally every minute of his is accounted for, and that's what excited me, that they all know silence, they know how to meditate. So they were complete people. How that Raymond's ad goes, that he's a complete man. I felt that with the people I've written about, and therefore I wanted to write their stories, because I wanted to write about people that you don't just look up to, but you feel happy to emulate, because in all ways, I've seen Guru meditate, it's a sight to watch him meditate. It's all this right now, he has all that charisma, cracking, he'll keep on putting his, hand up even when someone's talking. When he's meditating, it's still, it's like you literally feel the depth of the ocean bed, and that's what excites me, because I feel when these people get written about, the people reading about it get a holistic personality simply by reading them, and that's what, and so much of what Mr. Raghu said, I feel totally resonates, and I'm sure, Mr. Raghu, you are also living a completely holistic life, which is why you are where you are. So it's, I think that's what excites me, and
that's wonderful. In fact, I'm sure we can go on and on chatting on this, but we are kind of running out of time.
Mr. Raghu, how is my book? I just sent a message. It's stunning. I think that's the word I use when he asked me, how did you?
Oh, is it? Okay. Okay.
It's stunning. I think Guru will recollect. So that was my first. Compliments you, Megha, for an excellent job done, and thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm sure the session is also quite insightful. So many takeaways for businesses, upcoming businesses, be it commitment, hard work, vision, inspiration, all that you've been talking about. Thank you all so much for joining us. It's a pleasure having you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Livini. Thank you, Megha. Raghu, thank you very much. Bye-bye.